Hey, it's Lindsay and welcome back to my channel. I am gonna be talking about my birth story, which is the most amazing experience I've ever been through. I even sit in my bed and I still think about what happened and how crazy our bodies are to literally birth out a human being. I definitely encourage every mom who's about to have a baby to look into as many birth stories as possible because we all go through different things, but it kind of takes away a lot of surprises that you might have if you are going through something that I didn't, but Jessica in her other video talked about it. That's what I did. I personally watched every single birth story and blog, so I am aware of my situations. His birth date was scheduled July 24th. The date actually was July 17th. I went to my doctor's appointment and she told me, no way I'm having this baby on my birthday. We are scheduling to get induced, which I did not want to do. We will see you later. And I'm like, ugh, my cervix was completely closed. I'm like, ugh, okay. So then now this is July 20th in the middle of the night. I'm feeling pain. It feels like period cramps, but I'm like, she told me that it's not coming up soon, so it's probably just Braxton Hicks. It's probably just false labor. It's my body, whatever. I'm not gonna dwell on it too much. It wasn't unbearable. I can still lightly sleep, but that pain was lingered and it never went away. The next morning I woke up, I went for a walk, and I started timing my contractions. They were very irregular, and the number one thing my doctor told me was to make sure if I'm coming in that they are 5 minutes apart and they're at least a minute over. I'm not gonna sit there and spend hours at the hospital, a whole day at the hospital while I'm getting ready to go into labor. I told myself I'm staying in my house, I'm being relaxed as possible, as comfortable as possible on my freaking couch until I feel like it is ready, or until my contractions are what they say they should be to come in. I do not want to go to the hospital and get sent back home. That whole next day, which is now July 20th, I am home, waiting, eating. The pain was there, but it wasn't crazy. She also told me I could take some Tylenol, so it didn't do much, but I think it helped so that I wasn't going to the hospital quicker. Now it's 1 o'clock in the morning. My contractions are more intense and more at a regular pace. They're not like one every 10 minutes for 30 seconds and the next one's in 2 minutes. He wants to be a part of the story. He said, how are you gonna talk about me but not show me? How you gonna talk about me and my birth and not have me a part of the action? Things are thangin', okay. At 1 o'clock, my contractions started picking up and they were regular, and at every 5 minutes, a minute or more. So I head to the hospital. This is around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and they check my cervix. I am 3.5 centimeters dilated, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on. Does that mean I'm staying in the hospital? Are you guys sending me back? They're like, oh, no, you're staying. You're not going home. I'm like, oh, okay, yes. Then they transferred me to the labor and delivery room. I had opted out in the beginning of wanting an epidural because just for the fact that I do not like needles anywhere on me, besides like tattoos. I don't like needles being poked into me. Not because of the long-term pain people have talked about in their back or because of anything being done in your spine, which yes, I mean, that to each is your own. When I'm getting transferred into the labor delivery room, they're like, okay, do you want this epidural or not? And I'm like, yeah, yes, please. I hyped up the epidural to be so intense and crazy, and it really was nothing to me. It felt like pressure, but it wasn't like, oh my God. It was as any other shot. I think the shots I get in my ass when I have to get antibiotics in my butt hurts 10 times worse than something than this epidural. Once I got the epidural, I was way more relaxed. The pain does not 100% go away, but it helps so much. I also was extremely exhausted because I had been up for, at this point, like 28 hours, and I just wanted to try and sleep. We're waiting. Also, after the epidural, I had to get COVID tested. That hurt more than my actual epidural. That thing was horrible, and thankfully it came out to negative. Pretty sure now everybody has most likely been tested, but that is some pain right there. My body did not act very well to the epidural. My heart rate dropped to the 70s, and I had a very tight chest. I also was very nauseous. So when I called the doctor to come in because I needed to throw up, my heart rate was also in the 70s, and they're like, holy shit, how did you not pass out? And I'm like, oh, is that what happened? I just like faded in and out like 3 times, and I just thought I fell asleep, but I actually passed out 3 times. They gave me some medicine to help with my heart rate. I was very nervous. I'm like, is it my chest is very tight. Is this normal? They're like, it's just your body reacting to your epidural. It'll go away. And it did. 2 to 3 hours had passed, and I had stayed 4.5 centimeters dilated, and I didn't progress. and the time that they were wanting me to be progressing. They said if it doesn't pick up, then they would give me Pitocin. And I didn't want that. But at the end of the day, you can go into the hospital thinking you want this done, it's gonna go this way, you want it to be like this, and most likely it's not. And if it does work out the way you have your birth plan set up, that's awesome. But you have to be realistic. And so in my head, as long as I'm having a healthy baby, I want to do what's right, what's best. You hear a bunch of things of people getting induced and then you don't have a normal birth and you have to get a C-section, but I honestly just held it into higher hands, did what I felt was right for my body and my baby. So they gave me Pitocin and it still didn't work. So now I'm getting, nervous because I don't want a C-section. Their next step was to have the midwife come in and break my water. When she came in, my water had already broken, but because the epidural numbed my body, I thought I just kind of like peed myself. I didn't know that my water broke. So I'm getting even more nervous because their options are now no longer options. They said, we're gonna try and give you Pitocin one more time and see if that will progress. Within 2 hours of giving me the Pitocin for the second time, I got to 8 centimeters dilated. And then that's when everything happened quickly. So now this is about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and the doctors are wheeling in their tables and getting the room set up. And at this point, my contractions weren't painful. I felt like I had to poop the whole entire time. And I just wanted the urge to just shit. So I'm sitting there like, I feel like this baby's gonna come out right now. Like, where is the midwife? And the contractions at this point were like every 10 seconds. It was like, what I realized too, and I've done a lot of reading on different labors, you have to accept the pain. You have to feel the pain. You cannot fight it. You can't sit there and go against the pain. Every time I had a contraction, I literally relaxed my body and let the pain and the contractions do what it's doing. I'm not tensing up. I'm not, I didn't even want to hit that epidural button because the buttons next to you can like add more. I kind of just wanted it to do it, do what it has to do. So at this point, I'm like, labor is taking over my body and I'm in a whole nother world. And then finally, she was in front of my vagina and it was, okay, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna start to push. So they teach you how to push. I also watched a bunch of YouTube videos, so I knew what to do. You're also, when you're pushing, you don't wanna poop, but I think I clenched my butt tight enough so that didn't happen. Anyways, the practices of holding your breath and then pushing, and I pushed my life away. I pushed them out within 8 contractions, and I think it was about 20 pushes. They were all just like, oh my God, you're doing so good. How did you do so good? And I'm like, I watched a bunch of YouTube videos, so I felt a little bit more prepared. It's so funny though too, because I really wanted pictures and videos of what was going on, but his dad decided to take a peek there and just sat in the corner like about to pass out. So I couldn't really get any videos or pictures of the actual birth. The pushing didn't hurt. Once he was out, you're of course with all these emotions, and I'm just like, I literally said, holy shit, what the fuck, when they gave him to me. And then that's when they you have to birth out the placenta, which I don't even think I pushed at all. I felt like she kind of just went in there and did it, and the placenta came out. What I did feel though is I had to get 3 stitches in my vagina because I tore a little bit. I felt the stitches. It wasn't bad, but you're getting stitches in your vagina. I mean, what do you expect? It feels how it feels. Yeah, that's how you came here. Is that how you came here? I highly suggest you research and look at every possible video of birth and labor, and of course have your birth plan in mind, but be prepared for anything to happen. And I hope to every single mom who's expecting, watching, that you have the best delivery possible and everything just goes as smooth as it could be. So thanks for watching our video. Don't forget to subscribe and like and say bye. Bye-bye. Bye. Say bye. He says bye.